ready for me just to get into the Word, and I think I'm going to, but I want to pray for us as we get this show started, and we'll do our best to kind of trim some of this stuff off, what we had going on. Just so you do know, we do have, you saw the video, the little video promo, the commercial, about the Standing Supernaturally 5-day challenge that's coming up. And we will be doing that a week from tomorrow. Make sure you sign up. I'll mention again at the end of the message today. But we only do this a few times a year. This is the foundation of our ministry. Every person in this group take this challenge. With this whole thing, everything we teach, everything we do, you're going to get a crash course in 5 days of how to stand for your marriage. And so come join. There's a way you can join for free if you jump in the membership program. Also, you see Christine posting around here in the chat. And tonight we talked a little bit about Christine. This is about should you tell your spouse you're standing, and we're going to talk about that. But Christine will be doing a little VIP room for all of those who are in the membership group. And like I said, we'll mention that here, but that's always fun to see her. But let me pray for us, and I'm going to jump right into tonight's message because I got a bunch of verses and a bunch of thoughts that I would love to share with you guys. Hopefully will be encouraging and empowering for your stand. So how about we all pray, and we will get going here. So Father, I just thank you for your goodness. God, I thank you for your kindness. I thank you for your grace. Lord, I've asked for you to bring wisdom to every one of us, Lord. God, we pray that that the ministry of reconciliation would just fall so beautifully on us. And we thank you, Lord, for all the plans you have for us. So guide us and lead us. Encourage us, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, guys, what we're going to talk about tonight is a question that I get asked quite a bit. And I see people post, and I've come to find out that what other people and other groups are sharing similar, or sharing this topic, but I am finding out they actually have a different view than I am going to talk about tonight. That there are many, many people who, when it comes to the conversation of should I tell my spouse that I'm standing, that's what we see, that's the graphic, that's what we're talking about. Should you tell your spouse that you're standing? I want to dive into this. I want to look at this from a 30,000 feet view in the sky and really address this topic and talk about what are the reasons we should, what are the reasons that are keeping us from doing that, and is any of this wisdom? What did I do in my stand? What did Christine respond to? How did that happen? And like I said, I saw Christine was in the chat. If you're watching this live, you can see the live chat. But just to kind of let you know, I told Christine I was standing, very much so. I let her know throughout the whole ordeal, I am believing for restoration. I am desiring restoration. If you ever choose to come home, I'll pray for you. Christine knew it. Christine hearing it sometimes. Christine, I was absolutely crazy. Christine told me I was smoking something. She thought I was just Mr. Optimism. And she, as I was getting things ready for today, that she put in the chat that she doesn't think she'd be staying around as much if I didn't. That was an important part, even though she told me no, even though she told me I was crazy, even though she kind of said, hey, you want to hear this, okay? And how I responded to that is what we're going to talk to you about. But in the topic of should I tell my spouse I'm standing, what I want to do is I want to go through some areas and some things that I have heard and that I have sensed. What are some of the reasons that people don't tell them? And so I want to jump right in. I've got a list here of some reasons that people have the reasons they've given me, the reasons they posted, the reasons that they said, nope, don't tell your spouse, don't do that, don't do that. I want to talk about these reasons, and I want you just to be open and honest with yourselves. Do any of these relate with you? Are these some of the reasons that you're maybe keeping it just kind of inside, or you maybe haven't told them yet, or it's been so long since you've told them, or whatever the reason, and have no communication? Okay, I get it. Okay, we're going to pray that communication opens up, and I'm going to show you tonight how we can have that conversation. But I would like to give you a little bit of a theological view tonight of why I believe we should be communicating to our spouses that you are restoring and saying, you can hear my dog here. Like I said, I came up here earlier all day working on stuff. So he's roaming. I don't know where he's going. He's out. I left the door open. I should probably shut the door, keep him out. He might go even crazier now. But let's look at some reasons that I have heard and that I believe are prevalent of why people, and just be honest. If you relate to these, I want you to put in the chat, yeah, that's one of the reasons I hesitate of telling my spouse. So I want us to have an interaction here. Okay, I want you to put in the chat, put in the comment if any of these relate. And we have no shame. We're not judging anybody, but I just want us to be honest with number one, the first reason that people have for not telling your spouse you're standing, and you might not say it this way, but I'm telling you, I hear it in people's voice, and I hear it in the reactions, and I just want to make sure we put this out there, and if anyone is an acknowledgement of this, that you would raise your hand and say, yeah, this is me. Number one is simply fear of rejection. Like, I don't want to tell them I'm standing because I don't want to be told again that they're not coming home. Like, every time that I tell them that, every time that I say I'm not coming home, I am getting rejected. That I tell them, hey, I'm believing for our restoration. I want us to get restored. They're very blatantly and many times very aggressively telling us something differently. And they're like, no, I'm not coming home. I'm not going to do it. I don't care what you say. I've moved on. I somebody new. And that concept and that fear of hearing your spouse reject you again is there. It's powerful. It's in your face. And because we don't want to hear that, or because I don't want to expose myself to that, I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not going to share. A fear of rejection is a reason of why many people don't tell their spouse, or they've stopped telling their spouse, or they're like, I haven't told them, I'm just not going to tell them again because I'm tired of being rejected. If you can relate to that, put in the chat. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. A second reason that we have seen people say, I'm not going to tell my spouse, is number two, we're just fear of our spouse's response. Yes, there's rejection, but I am just afraid. I don't want them to respond in the way that they have responded, that they get upset, that they get angry, they get mean, they get nasty, they get, I get so discouraged because they tell me, it kind of goes back with that first one, fear of rejection, but I am just afraid of how they're going to react to this. I don't want their response. Their response of me telling them I'm hanging around is hopeless. Okay, even if it's not quote unquote aggressive, or if it's not quote unquote mean or nasty, they're responding in a way. They're like, I just don't want to hear that. I don't want to be told one more time that they're not coming home. I don't want to hear that. So I just don't tell them. Because one, fear of rejection. I don't want to be rejected. Of course, nobody wants to be rejected. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to be rejected. Number two, it's a fear of our spouse's response. We don't really like the response. And another one, number three, that I've heard a lot, it has a little bit more of a religious tone to it, of kind of, hey, well, this is kind of, I'm afraid of what maybe I might, let me check on the screen, thinking that they will be getting in God's way. That if I tell them that I'm not being still, if I tell my spouse I'm wanting that, then that's me now inserting myself in the equation, and now I am now getting in front of God. And I've heard that. Well, I don't want to tell them because I'm supposed to be still and know that He's God, and I don't want to get in front of God. I don't want to get ahead of God. I don't want to be getting in the way of what God is doing. Now, understand that people are saying that, and there might be some cases that's the case, but I believe that mostly is slightly off. To think just you communicating to them that you desire restoration, by them just knowing that you desire it, and you actually communicating that is somehow getting in the way of God's words. We're going to see tonight that is not the case at all. But that is a fear, and that is a reason, I should say, of people not telling them. Another one is thinking that it's actually going to drive them further away. If I tell them, they're going to hear something that they don't want to hear, and now they're not going to communicate to me. I'm going to push them away. If you tell them this, they're going to push them away. You're going to drive them away by letting them know. That is a response, and that is a reason that I hear some people saying. Okay? Another one is simply, I don't want to be taken advantage of. A fear of being taken advantage of. And what do you mean by that? And I've heard, well, if they know that you're standing no matter what, they're going to go then live and do whatever they want for however long they want to do it. And because they always know you're on the side. They always know I can go live my life. I can go high on the hog. I can go date around. I can do whatever I want because I know my spouse is just waiting for me. And we have this idea that now this is giving our spouse a free pass because now they know we're there and now I'm going to be taken advantage of my patience. I've heard people say that. I don't want to tell them I'm waiting because I don't want them to think that I'm always going to be there for them. That they can do whatever they want, they can live however they want, and they just expect me to be there. And to always know, well, I always have a door open with Christine, or always have a door open with Jason. That is a response, that is a reason that I have heard of why. And then the final one that I want to share as some reasons that I've heard, so hopefully you're commenting if any of these make sense, if you feel these. And this is probably one of the most common. Number 6, assuming that they already know it. Well, they know. They know I'm standing. They know I want restoration. They know I want them back. And because they know, and since they know, I don't need to keep telling them. I don't need to remind them that. I don't have to say that. And so those are some of the reasons that I have seen people give of, should I do it? And then I would say maybe another one is just simply thinking that it won't matter. I'll just add that one into the mix. You just think, you know what, it just doesn't matter. Me telling them that I am waiting for them, I am believing for them to be restored, doesn't matter. And what I want to do first off is I want to give you a few verses, and they're not going to be on the screen, but I want to read these to you. I don't want fear to be in the equation. For whatever reason you had for not communicating to your spouse, hey, I'm still in this. I'm still around. I'm still believing God to restore. And whatever that reason is for you to not communicate, I want us to be open, honest, once again with no shame, but I want us to be aware we don't have to be afraid. I don't have to be of their response. I don't have to be afraid of rejection. Isaiah 41:10 says, do not fear, for I am with you. Be not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Okay? Psalms 27:10. Though my father, this is big. Psalms 27:10. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Okay? Psalms 27:10. Though my father and my mother, and let me add, and though my husband or though my wife forsake me, the Lord will receive me. That's Psalms 27:10. I want us first to get so built up in knowing who we are in God and knowing our position with God and knowing, hey, yes, they're rejecting me. Yes, they're just saying, no, I don't want anything to do with you. But I know who I am, and I know the Lord will receive me. My spouse, not receiving me, but God is receiving me. And that is actually bringing me comfort and strength. 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Psalms 118:6, the Lord is with me. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? There are these verses here that are so important. But when we look at all the reasons that we're not telling them, I want us to see another angle. You don't have to be afraid. Whatever they say, whatever they respond, God can meet you, God can hold you, God can protect you. Now, some people are saying, well, Jason, why do I even do it? What is the point? Why can't I just stand, live my life, and just let God do what he's going to do? Now I want to get into that. Why I believe it is important that we do communicate and that our spouses do know our current position and our future position. And the number one reason I want us to be addressed tonight is to be aware this is a spiritual battle. And there is something happening to your spouse right now. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be alert and sober-minded. Why? Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. The enemy right now is constantly just prowling around, not just you, but your spouse. And he's trying to destroy them, and he's trying to devour them. And I want us to understand, first, if we're talking about why should I tell my spouse, hey, I'm here. Hey, the ring is still on. Hey, I am not going anywhere. I am waiting for you. I am believing for this to get restored. The reason I believe we communicate that to them, number one, for spiritual warfare. Why? Because we need to understand the devil's actions towards your spouse. I'm going to give you a few reasons, a few things that the devil is doing to your spouse right now. Number one, the enemy is constantly accusing them right now. You don't hear it. You might not know it. Let me reword that. You might not hear it. It might not be communicated to you, but it is happening. Revelation chapter 12, verse 10, the second part of it, says, "For the accuser of the brothers, of our brothers and sisters, who accuse them before our God day and night has been hurled down." But what's he saying? The devil is accusing your brothers and sisters. The spouse, the devil is accusing your spouse right now for leaving. He's accusing them for moving on. And you're like, well, that's not what they're saying. I'm telling you, it's happening. The accuser is ramping up the megaphone to your spouse and telling them that they can never come home. And he's just accusing them of all the mistakes they've made. No, there is a voice being spoken into your spouse. Now, they're probably not telling you that, but no, there is an accuser. And what else do we know about the accuser? Number two, the accuser is trying to deceive them. Look at it, you got all four of them on there. Look at how we do that. The accuser is trying to deceive them. That is what he's trying to do. The accuser wants to deceive them. That's what he's out to do. 2 Corinthians 11:3, he says, "But I'm afraid that just as Eve was deceived by the serpent's cunning, your minds may somehow be led astray from your sincere and pure devotion to Christ." What's happening? The enemy is out to bring deception to your spouse. He's doing it. He is trying, just like it happened to Eve. So what is the enemy doing? He is he is constantly accusing your spouse, and he is trying to deceive your spouse. Those are words that are coming at your spouse constantly. Number three, what else is the enemy doing? The enemy is constantly lying to them. He is constantly lying. Well, how do we know that? Because James 8:44 tells us very clearly. He says, you belong to your father, the devil, okay, and you want to carry out the devil's desires. But look, he says, now we talked about the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning, holding no truth, for there's no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Right now, the accuser, the deceiver, is lying to your spouse. He is sending lies to them. What lies is he telling them? The lies is telling them that you don't want them back. Well, they should know. I'm telling you, the enemy is telling them that you don't. Well, they should know. The enemy is telling them you don't. He is lying to your spouse. He is deceiving your spouse. He is accusing your spouse of all the things that he's ever done. And that brings into number 4, the enemy operates in guilt and shame. This is how the enemy works. He is trying to bring shame and trying to bring condemnation. That's why we're so encouraged with Romans chapter 8, verse 1. There is therefore no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. We aren't condemned. But there's a good chance, look at this list on the screen, this is what's happening to your spouse right now. The enemy is constantly accusing them that they have made the biggest mistake and there's no way they can come back. Those are words that the enemy is telling them. He is deceiving them. Hey, look, no, you don't really want that. That's not good. They're not there for you. That's not going to be, it's not even able to be restored. It's not able. It's too broken. He's lying to them. They don't want you back. And he's telling you, you've broken too much. You know, he's saying, you've broken too much. You've done too much damage. She's never bringing home. You should be ashamed of yourself that you could even think about going home. And your sin, your adultery, the enemy is constantly on an onslaught against your spouse. It's happening. Why? Because this is how the devil operates. So why am I bringing this up? Because now you and I carry the light of the world, and we carry the revelation of Jesus and the power to destroy these. How? By our simple tongue. By telling them, letting them know, I'm here. Letting them know I'm still believing. Letting them know I'm here for you. Letting them know it can still get restored. And even though they might be responding in a negative way, you're not going to hear me talk about in this sermon at all that they're not going to respond positively. Or they're not going to respond negatively. Let me reword that. That they're going to respond positively. They might not. They might not give you one positive affirmation. You might tell them you want it back home, and they will throw it in your face 100 times out of 100. It might happen. But I'm telling you, when that happens, we understand God is holding us, God is comforting us, and we understand, look, something else is going on. Okay, I'm not getting my validation from my spouse. I'm not getting my hope from my spouse. I'm not getting my peace from my spouse. But I want to make sure that they know, because I believe the enemy is trying to accuse them. The enemy is lying to them. The enemy is telling them deep in their spirit that they don't want it, that it's too far gone. And that might not be where they are this moment, but I guarantee you those words are going to come to your spouse. When the Holy Spirit, when your prayers start working and everything is moving and they start manifesting and they are now thinking, I wonder, I promise you, the devil is going right in to tell them, you can't come home. And it is important that they have no doubt in their mind that they can come home. That is something that I fought for really diligently with Christine. I knew she didn't want to come home. I knew she was choosing other paths. There's one thing I heard the Lord so clearly is I want her to have zero doubt that Jason will take her back. I want her to have no doubt. I want her to know that she knows Jason would love for you to come home. Now, she might not want to. She might tell me, I don't want to hear it, and I'll talk about that. But she knew it, and she didn't feel shamed because of it. I'm going to talk about that, of how we communicate that. I'm going to talk about that here tonight. But it is important to understand that the devil is coming at your spouse. And he is trying to bring deception to them. But you and I, guys, we have a biblical mandate. It's all in the Bible through all different times. Because I hear people say, well, no, I just want them to see it. They should just see it. They can see that I love them. They can see that I want them home. Okay, I don't need to show them with my words. I just need to show them with my actions. I hear that. Well, I'm like, well, of course, show them with your actions. Absolutely. But we must use words. There's a popular quote that I'm not disagreeing with. It says, preach the gospel always, and sometimes use words. And you've heard the quote. Preach the gospel always and sometimes use words. Like, you have your life living in such a way that proclaims the glory and the grace of Jesus. Yes. But that quote doesn't say, proclaim the gospel always, but never use words. It even says sometimes. And people have taken that, sometimes use words, as mean most times don't use words. Because words are going to get in trouble. Because words don't have power. Words are going to drive them away. And I'm saying we've missed it. It's been abused. I'm telling you, yes, show your spouse that you're there. Show your spouse you love them. Show your spouse you forgive it. Show your spouse you're waiting. And guess what? And tell them. And use words. I'm going to give you some Bible passage of why it's important to use words. So we have a biblical mandate to use words and not just silent actions. I believe that is an absolute aspect of the kingdom of God. We have a biblical mandate to use words. And don't just use silent actions. Look at Proverbs chapter 16, verse 24. Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and a healing to the bones. What's the key? Gracious words. Gracious. So when you do communicate to them, hey, I'm still here. Say it graciously. Don't say it condemning. Don't say it judgmental. Don't say it angrily. Don't say it with bitterness. But gracious words. They are sweet to the soul. It is healing to the bones. So I want us to be able to let our spouses know graciously, hey, if you ever want to come home, I'm here. We do it with graciousness. All right? Ephesians 4:29 says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for the building up of others according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. What's the point here? Look at the end of the verse. It will benefit those who listen. If we are not letting unwholesome, not just complaining to them, you aren't coming home. I want you to know I'm waiting for you. And we're not doing it that way. We're not letting unwholesome talk, but we're actually, building them up. It will benefit them to hear. It will bring benefit. If Christine's in the live chat, she can chat. Was it beneficial for me to be a constant place that she knew she had a place to come home? That there was no wiggle room of where I stood. That it was gentle, that it was loving, but yet it was also consistent. Proverbs 15:1, you know this verse, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Yes. So we can be mindful of how do we communicate this? How do I communicate to my spouse that I'm still believing, I'm still waiting? Well, we don't use harsh words, but we have a gentle answer, and that will actually turn away wrath. So gentle way of telling them. My approach, I like to use humor. I like to make it lighthearted if needed. Christine tells a story. She said someone that I forgot about this story. So this is how often I was letting her know, hey, I'm here. Okay, hey, come on, here I am. Whenever you want. It was so consistent that I forgot the story. But she was telling someone a story. I think we were counseling someone. I forgot what we were doing or how I think maybe it was in our academy alumni group. She was telling this story that she came over to the house for something and do something, and she, I think, had to go to work later, but something happened that she had to take a shower at the house, which was the first time she did that in, goodness, maybe a year, But she took a shower at the house. And she said something like, I don't know if I'm not sure, leave a towel outside the door, or she said something. And I might have knocked and said, here's the towel, I'll leave it by the door. And then I simply just said the words, you need some company? You need some company? You want me to, or would you like me to join you? I was inviting myself into the shower with her. And she kind of like, no. Okay. Just thought I'd ask. And just kind of chuckled away. Lighthearted. Just said, would you like some company? And she was like, no. And I was just thought. Just lighthearted. Okay. Just let her know it was a simple little, threw it out there. Hey, just so you know, I'm willing to take a shower with you if you and just, I'm here for you. I'm still wanting us together. But it's a gentle answer can turn away. And now, one of the main verses I want you to be aware of, and I understand this verse is talking about the proclamation of the gospel. I get the context of the verse. But I believe it is equally contextually accurate for me to show you this verse right here. Romans chapter 10, verse 14. Read this with me. But how can they call on him to save them unless they believe in him? How can they believe in him if they have never heard about him? And right here. And how can they hear about him unless someone tells them? Unless someone speaks it. It is known throughout the world. We need to send missionaries all across the world. Why? So someone could tell them. Yes, we pray for them to come into the light of Jesus. Yes, we intercede. Yes, we pray for them to have encounters with God. We do all that. But there must be a point that we even show up and tell them. Here is what Jesus is. Here's who he is. And I believe this verse is a bedrock for standers. How can they hear about restoration, very end of that verse, unless someone tells them? It's important that we communicate that as well. It's crucial that we release that truth. My main point here, as we're getting ready to wrap up, is why do I believe we should tell our spouses? If you forget everything, it's one point. Listen to this point right here. Why should we communicate this? Why should we tell them? Because as a supernatural standard, we imitate God of how he speaks to us. How does God talk to you when you're far away? Does God withhold his truth to you? Does God hide his secret of that he's available? I'm here. Hey, I want you. I'm waiting for you. I'm welcoming you. Does God withhold that from his people? I have heard people say, well, here's what you shouldn't do or you should do, of why you shouldn't tell them. And most of the times, I'm being honest, that is not what Jesus is doing to you. That is not what Jesus is speaking over them. If they run far away from God, if they're in an adulterous affair, Jesus is still saying, I'm here. Hey, I don't want you to have any doubt. I know the devil's telling you I'm not. I am telling you I'm here. Couple verses. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 3. The Lord appeared to him from afar. Isn't that interesting? From afar, even when they weren't close. Maybe you and your spouse are far, far apart. But what did the Lord do? He appeared to him for our saying, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Even when Israel was far from God, God is saying, hey, I know we're far apart. I love you. I'm here for you. Jesus never stopped saying that to his children. Never. Look at the Message translation for this. And he says he met God out looking for them. Is that it, Message translations? God told them, I never quit loving you, and I never will. Expect love, love, and more love. Wow. This was what God is saying over every one of us. I've never quit loving you, and I never will. Expect love, love, and more love. This is what Jesus is saying over every one of us. By Bethel Music, maybe 10, 15 years old now. It's called Pieces. Pieces. And the chorus says, you don't give your love in pieces. You don't hide yourself to tease us. God doesn't, he doesn't give us his love a little bit here and a little bit here. Prove it to me. Prove it to me. Prove it to me. Am I safe? Prove it to me. Okay, I'll give you a little bit. No, I can't tell you that I'm still going to be around. What if you take advantage of me? What if you don't come home? Guys, I understand that's how our flesh is reacting and responding. That's not what God does to us. He says in Isaiah 43, verse 4, because you are precious in my eyes and honored, and I love you, I give men in return for you, people in exchange for your life. He's like, I love you. Look at Hosea. We know Hosea, but look at these passages in Hosea. 1 through 4, and then last in verses 7. When Israel was a youth, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. The more they called them, the more they went from me. He's saying, look, they went away from me. They kept sacrificing to Baals and burning incense to idols. He's saying, look, they were running from me. They didn't want me. They were choosing other people. They were choosing other gods. God is saying, this is what they're doing. And he says, yet, it is I who taught Ephraim to walk. I took them in my arms, but they did not know that I healed them. Look, so he's like, they don't understand that I'm still here. Verse 4, I led them with cords of a man, with bonds of love, and I became to them as one who lifts the yoke from their jaws, and I bent down to feed them. He's like, look, I know they're running, but I am constantly there. I am not backing away, and I want them to know that. Verse 7. Verse 7, we got verse 7 up here. So my people are bent on turning from me. Maybe your spouse is bent on turning from you. Though they call them to the one on high, not at all exalts him, saying, hey, they don't exalt me. But look, so they were saying they haven't turned. But verse 8, have I given up on you, O Ephraim? How can I surrender you, O Israel? How can I make you like Admah? How can I treat you like a Zebulun? My heart is turned over within me. All of my compassions are kindled. This is what God was telling his people when they were far. he kept raising his hand. He said, I love you. I love you. Hey, I'm right here. Just so you know, here I am. Yeah, I know you've gone away, but hey, please don't ever forget this. I'm open. I'm ready. I'll take you back. Please don't forget. I know the enemy might be lying to you and telling you that I'm not here, but I'm here. I know you might think we've gone too far much. I don't believe it is. I think we can heal this. I believe it is important, guys, that we do communicate in a gracious and loving, in a non-judgmental, in a non-argumentative, that's a big one, and even in a non-debatable way. Let me say it again. I'm not trying to debate you of who's right or wrong as I'm telling you that I'm here for you. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not doing any of that. But I do want you to know I'm here. So, as we conclude our message here, what are some practical ways that we could tell our spouses this? What are some practical tips that I can give you on telling your spouse you're still standing? Well, first, let me give you some practical don'ts. Some of you this might hit close to the home. Okay? And I hope it does. Because I believe these are some things we should probably stop doing. And these might be like, what? Why would you stop doing that? Hear me out. Some practical tips of telling our spouses that we're here. Number 1 and number 2 of the don'ts. Don't play the God card. And don't say God is making you. Don't play the God card. Don't pit them against God because you're standing and they're not. And do not say God is making me stand. Please do not do that. Here's some examples of what maybe that would look like. God told me we are getting restored. What do you mean don't tell them God told me? Why would you not say that? I believe, I want you to know that God told you. Yes, God, I want you as a stander to know it's the word of the Lord. I want you to know God is telling you. I don't feel you need to tell them. God told me, because as soon as you play the God card, you are also saying, I have God, you have a demon. It instantly brings separation. The devil will come into that so fast, and they will say, listen how pious they are. They think you're demonically oppressed. They think you're out of God's will. They think, all that stuff might be accurate, but once you start joining with the accuser, they will pull back from that. So stop using the God card on your spouse. Please. Don't tell them God is telling you. Okay? Here's another example. I got more. God has told me that I have to stand for our marriage. God won't let me move on. Have you said those things? If you are, I just confess. Man, I've said those things. Let me tell you why I don't want you to. God told me I have to stand. God won't let me move on. Hey, I just want you to know, God won't let me move on. You know what? I'm just obeying God, so I'm standing. Let me tell you why I don't want you to say those way. Don't communicate that way. Here's what is communicating. What you're communicating to them is simple. You're communicating, hey, God is making me do this. If I had a choice, I don't really want you. I don't really want to be restored with you. I don't want to do this, but God is making me. He's putting me in handcuffs and saying, you have to stand for your marriage. Guys, if you communicate it out, how loved do you think they are? How wanted does your spouse feel by that? Oh, God's making you, so you don't want me. But God is making you do this. Guys, come on. They feel zero love. Christine, if you're on the call, if I told you, hey, you know what? I have to stand because God won't let me move on. I don't really want to. It's not really my choice. It's not merely my desire. God is just making me do it. If you communicate that, they will not hear the love of Jesus. God isn't making anybody do anything. Let me make that clear. God isn't making anybody. He is inviting them. He is wooing them with your love. It's like, hey, I love you so much. I'm standing for you. I'm believing for you. I'm waiting for you. I'm enduring. Hey, I love you. I choose you. I choose you. I don't have the God gun pointing to my head saying I have to do this. And I've heard many, many standers tell their spouse, God's making me stand. And I'm like, why are you telling them that? Do you not know all you're saying is I don't really want to be with you? Do you not know all you're communicating is I don't really have an emotion for you? Why would they want you then? If you don't want them, why would they want you? Well, I'm just being godly. No, you're not. You're being fleshly and you're trying to blame God. You're not being bold and courageous and saying, look, you're not putting yourself out there. You're trying to use God as your protective force instead of saying, I'm choosing you. Put in the chat if any of this makes sense. I'm almost done. Those are some things I believe don't do. Don't play the God card. God is going to make himself known. You don't have to say God. You can stand on it. You can be confident. You don't have to tell them that. Here's what I do want you to do. Let me give you some do's. How you're communicating. Some ways to communicate to them that you're standing. I want you to be open-ended. Okay, don't make, just let the conversation be open-ended. I'll show you some examples. It's okay to be passive, but yet direct. And you're like, how do you do that? I'm going to show you. Be clear, yet not accusatory. Like, Jason, those are some interesting sentences. I don't know if I have an idea. Give me some examples. All right, here's some examples. Ready? Some examples of what that looks like. I know they're kind of tiny. Here's a way that you can say this. I understand you disagree, but I want you to know that I still believe that we can get restored. And I understand you. I understand you disagree with this. I just want you to know I still believe we can. You are communicating it to them in a way you're not even trying to get a response. Most people tell their understanding so they get a response, and then it goes back because they don't get the response that they want. I'm telling you I'm standing, so you tell me what I want to hear. And when they don't tell you what you want to hear, they tell you the opposite, you freak out. And you're doing that again. Why? Because you are being manipulative. You're trying to tell them with trying to get a response. I'm saying, don't even worry about the response. You simply say that first one. Look, I understand you disagree, but I just want you to know I still believe that we can get restored. That's one way. Another way, please know that I will be here if you ever decide to come back home. You hear the language? If you ever. What does that mean? I am giving them the choice. I am letting them know I respect you, and I understand your decision. I understand what you're doing. But I am letting you clearly know, please know, I will be here if you ever decide to come back home. I'm not shaming them. I'm not saying that they're following the devil. I'm not saying that they're breaking the covenant, which I did say to them. Finally, the Lord woke me up from that. Okay? And I'm just saying, hey, if you ever decide to come home, I'll be here. And now I'm trusting God that there's going to be a moment that they decide to come home. Next, number 3, you see there on the list. I know you feel otherwise, but I'm still choosing to believe in restoration for us. We're acknowledging, hey, I know you feel otherwise, but I'm still choosing to believe. You're letting them, hey, whether you do whatever you do, whatever you move on, whatever you date, whatever, I just want you to know I'm going to choose this. I'm not saying God's making me. Last one, if you ever want to come back to the marriage, the door will remain open. These are just some examples that I just typed up of how we can communicate to our spouses, hey, I'm here. How I believe we can walk in the representation of the Father and just say, hey, I'm here. I'm not shaming you for your decisions. I'm not trying to throw your sin in your face. I'm not trying to do that. I just want you to know that God, or excuse me, I want you to know that I will be here. Take a look at those. Does that make sense? We're just being understanding, being passive. We're saying, okay, I trust you. I will be here. If you don't come home, you know what? I'm not gonna be banging down your door. I'll be right here. So maybe how often do you say this? That's the question. Well, I don't think, I didn't put this in any of the notes. Don't stalk them. You don't have to tell them every single day. You don't have to tell them every week. No, you don't have to do that. But always as the conversation allows, and don't be afraid to step into that. Say, hey, I think every holiday is an easy way. Birthdays, Christmas, hey, wish you a happy day. Just want you to know if you ever want to come home, I'd love to have you. Door's always open. You say it in the past. We understand I am making sure that the devil's not getting the final word for them. That the devil's not telling them that I moved on. They know. I'm not shaming them. I'm not guilting them. But I am letting my flag be seen. I'm right here. And I will tell you that unashamedly. And I will tell you that without fear. Because even if you tell me no, I'm not going to come back to you. I'm not going to say, well, why not? I'm not going to do that. Whatever they respond, they respond. So they're like, if you say one of these positive ways of how to respond, and they just reply back, what do you say? All you got to say, I understand. I understand. I hear you. Just wanted you to know. If you ever change your mind, you're just letting it out there. Hey, don't out there. Just let you know that we're not getting in an argument. I'm not making them feel bad for it. I'm letting them know, here's my stance. Danny Silk has a phrase, a whole curriculum called, I'm going to keep my love on. It's called keep your love on. My love is turned on. I can't control your love. I'm not shaming you. I'm just telling you my love's turned on. So, anyway, hopefully this was encouraging or helpful. But I do believe, I personally believe, because the reasons I laid out today, I honestly do not see a downside. If you do it correctly, I do not see a downside of letting your spouse know. I don't see a downside. What's the downside? They get mad? Okay. Well, if you say it correctly, you can't do anything about their emotions. If you know you're being kind, you're being, you're not being argumentative, you're not being judgmental, if you know how you're just, and you're not beating them with it, it's just in a natural conversation. Guys, there's nothing wrong going to come of that. Now, they might respond negatively. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. We're not spouse-led, we're spirit-led. I'm not worried. Well, what if they hurt me? Well, then I'm going to run to the arms of the Father and He's going to heal me. I believe. I'm going to put this on the screen. I believe this very firmly. My honest belief of my walking with the Lord. And here's my main point, and I said it earlier, because I don't think Jesus does it differently. You cannot find a passage that Jesus says, I'm not going to tell them I want them. You're not going to see the heart of Jesus saying, no, I got to keep it a secret. I can't tell them anymore. I told them enough I love them. Now, of course, clearly, don't be a stalker. Come on, guys. Let's be understandable. But Jesus was constant. I want to imitate Jesus in my stand. Jesus wasn't afraid to get his heart broken. Hello. Jesus wasn't afraid to get his heart broken. Jesus wasn't afraid to put it out there. Jesus wasn't afraid to get rejected. Jesus wasn't afraid. Jesus was confident in his love. And he was confident in his patience and his willing to wait. Jesus was confident, I will still be here. And he wanted his children to know, I want to imitate Jesus in my stand. I am not going to be fear-based. I'm not going to keep something that is loving and kind because I'm afraid of them or I'm afraid of the reaction. And this is why I believe 99% of standers should remind their spouses that they are standing and waiting for restoration. Now put it in there, unless you have the clearest 1,000% word of the Lord and your spouse isn't the reason you're not telling them. Okay? If God is making it very clear, hey, you're not going to hear me go against what God is telling you. But if that's the case, I want to make sure that's God. I mean, you got to be I want you to be 1,000% confident. Don't think you're the 1%. And make sure that your spouse isn't the reason, or you're afraid, or some other reasons. Just, I believe 99% we should let our spouses know. I believe we should do it in a way I think would be wise. I think it should be kind. I think it should be gentle. I think it should be somewhat consistent. And that's going to matter, and it's going to change, Hey, I'm not, I mean, I know people, well, how long? I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know that. I think definitely every 6 months for sure, for sure. Hey, I know we haven't talked in a while. Hey, hope you're doing well. I know we haven't talked in months. Man, hope you're doing well. I'm praying for you. Just so you know, I'm here if you ever want to come back. That's it. That's all I got to say. You're not trying to get into an argument, not trying to get into a debate. You're not playing the God card. You're letting them know, I'm still here. I'm still here. Why? Because the devil is coming after them with lies and shame and accusatory words. We come at him with love and perseverance. So that's the reason. 99% standards, I believe, should remind their spouses that they are standing and waiting. What's it going to hurt? Your feelings might get hurt. God can heal those. What's the upside? They know you're there. They come home. They don't hesitate. When that 1 ounce of movement they come. They're not wish-washy. They're coming. Anyway. Well, guys, thank you for being with us here. Thank you for enduring the opening technical difficulties. But if you're on the call live, we're going to jump in. We're going to go, since we got a little late, we're going to go on, but we're going to maybe about 15, 20 minutes. We're going to have our after the Zoom members only meeting, so we can just pray over you guys over this topic. Pray for strength. I'm going to pray an impartation of strength. I'm going to pray for open doors for you and your spouse to be able to have that conversation. And God's going to give you the words to say, and it's going to come out smooth, and it's going to be gentle, and it's going to be, good. So we're going to pray that in the So if you're in our membership group, join me in the Zoom. If you're not in the membership group, join us. This is one of our ways. We get asked, hey, how can I donate to your ministry? We have chosen not to do donations. We're not just asking for donations. I would rather equip you guys. I would rather give you guys something that empowers you, okay? And so this is just something extra. Of course, everything we everything we have is, all of our videos are free on YouTube. This is a free video. We teach. We do all the stuff free. But we have a couple things that if you'd like to get a little extra, that we have some programs. And one of them is our membership program. And you can sign up for free, join the free trial, and check it out. And get we got a whole list of things for that. But on that note as well, I mentioned it earlier, next week is our 5-day challenge. Sign up for this thing. Okay, it's only $10 to register, but if you're in the membership program, you get it for free. Okay, sign up for the free trial, get the 5-day challenge for free. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. It's only $10. You're going to get hours of transformation studies. We're going to do every day. We're going to be live at 12 o'clock. If you can't make it, all replays are available. You're going to get downloads. You're going to get worksheets. Tuesday night, we're going to have a Zoom prayer call for everyone who's registered. We're going to have an amazing time. So register. We're 1 week away from tomorrow. Don't miss out. I want every person who's in this group to sign up for this thing. We are going to end this year in the most power-packed, anointed, standing way. Join us. If you are in the membership group, there's another bonus for the 5-day challenge. We call this our VIP rooms. Well, what is that? There's 2 things in the VIP room we're going to do. One, before each live session, we have behind the scenes with Christine. And she will be here in the studio, and she will be going live in the membership Facebook group and kind of showing you kind of behind what's happening. What am I doing getting ready? She'll probably be here with a dog, and she's going to be saying hi, and she's going to be doing a giveaway every single day. Hush, hush, wink, wink. That's a secret. Not really. She's going to be giving a giveaway to those who are on live in the behind the scenes, and you're going to see all the behind the scenes of the camera. She's going to be interacting, just having fun with you guys. It's a lighthearted thing that she does. People who've done that, so it's just fun to see Christine. You just get to know her because she's incredible. My wife is phenomenal. She's gorgeous, and she's so much fun. So all of the members come. You're going to get it behind the scene with Christine before the challenge starts, and then boom, you'll join me right in the live teaching. But also after each lesson, I'm going to do a Zoom session going through over the workbook. Every day you're going to get a workbook of how to, the homework for that day. So every day you're going to get a workbook. I'm going to walk you through the workbook personally. So as soon as I'm done preaching, I'm going to go straight into Zoom for all the members, and we're going to talk about kind of the worksheet for the day. So we have some VIP stuff that we want you guys to be a part of and to know. Just want to equip you, but do not miss out. I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to repeat myself. Don't miss it. Every one of you, sign up for the 5-day challenge. If you are already in the membership group, you register for free. There's a link available for you. Okay, you just got to use the free link. But all of you guys sign up for the 5-day challenge. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you feel encouraged. I hope you know that your words matter. I hope you know that when you do lovingly let your spouse know, hey, I'm still here. Just want you to know. I hope you know you're representing Jesus. I want you to know you can do it in a way that doesn't create strife. You can do it in a way that doesn't create arguments. You can do it in a way that they don't feel condemned. You can do it in a way. You can let them know, hey, just so you know, if you ever decide to come home, just want you to know I'm here. And that's all the conversation has to be. You're just dropping these little glory nuggets. You're letting them know, hey, I'm here. I'm here. I believe God is going to do something powerfully in your family and in your marriage. So guys, we love you. We believe in you. If you're in the membership group, join me right now for about 20 minutes of just kind of a prayer impartation for God to open doors for you, to be able to communicate this to your spouse. Besides everyone else, I will see you guys next week as we're getting ready for the 5-day challenge. It's going to be powerful. I hope you all sign up. We'll see you guys then. God bless. Bye-bye. Do you want your marriage restored, but it looks impossible? Well, so did mine. But God restored my marriage even after we got the divorce. Hello, I'm Pastor Jason Carver with Standing Supernaturally for Marriage Restoration. I want to invite you to a special Standing Supernaturally 5-day challenge that we are doing October 23rd through the 27th. I invite you to join me for these 5 days as I equip you and show you all the biblical reasons that God is going to restore your marriage. We're going to train you with hope, show you how to walk in power, show you how to walk in joy, even in this difficult season. Believe me, God is restoring marriages, and I believe your marriage is getting restored. So will you join me right now and sign up for this upcoming 5-day challenge? Simply click the link below or go to standingsupernaturally.com/5-day challenge to sign up. You'll even learn there how you can register completely for free. I believe God is restoring marriages all over the world, and I cannot wait to see your marriage restored. So come and join me for these 5 power-packed live teaching days where you're going to get worksheets, downloadables, prayer requests. You're going to have a Zoom meeting. You're going to get some anointed teaching of why God is going to restore your marriage and learn how you can walk in hope, walk in joy, walk in peace, even though there is no evidence of anything changing. God is going to equip you. Keep standing supernaturally. We are right here with you. Let's sign up now for the upcoming Standing Supernaturally 5-day challenge, October 23rd. Sign up below. I'll see you then.